I'm a Special United Nations Ambassador Gerald Senjumba. Today I'm going to discuss the final part of engaging with the human rights system on statelessness and displacement. Actually, the final part of United Nations human rights mechanisms. Today I'm going to look at deciding on an approach. Once UNHCR operation or other stakeholder has identified the relevant mechanisms and means through which it can engage to address protection challenges affecting displaced and stateless people, operations should assess the available options and incorporate those which may be of value to the operation in the protection plan, detailing any anticipated advocacy activities. In making these determinations, consideration should be given to, at minimum, how could your operation use the outcomes of the mechanisms as protection advocacy tools, and how would they fit into your current protection strategy. Are there any existing recommendations or prior outcomes, the mechanism which relate to the protection issues? Are there ways in which the procedure or outcome of this process and active engagement it could open up, enhance the dialogue with the government or other partners, or otherwise further protection objectives in the country? Could engagement with the human rights mechanisms, particularly any public engagement, affect relationships with the stakeholders, either positively or negatively? If so, what opportunities exist to engage confidentially with the mechanism? What advocacy activities can be envisaged after engaging with the mechanism to ensure effective complementarity or complementation and an improvement of the protection environment? Is your operation able to commit the necessary resources to engage effectively with the identified mechanisms and to undertake advocacy activities on outcomes obtained? What internal and external partners may be engaged and consulted at each stage of the process? So those are questions one can ask, as well as what tools are available to support or enhance the effectiveness of engagement with the mechanisms. So there are internal and external partners. Internal. For the UNHCR, the Human Rights Liaison Unit, the Division of International Protection leads and coordinates UNHCR's human rights engagement. Overall, it provides the guidance and support to operations considering seeking engagement with the UN human rights mechanisms, and works in collaboration with the OHCHR, the UN human rights mechanisms, the UN entities and the NGOs, and other partners like permanent missions to strengthen human rights approaches and share information on the situation of refugees and the others of UNHCR's concern. Although the Human Rights Liaison Unit plays this coordinating role, field operations are ultimate owners of the engagement. External partners, governments. Some states have developed national mechanisms on reporting and follow-up, NMRFs, national human rights institutions or ombudspeople, civil society, academia, UN resident coordinator, UN country teams, OHCHR region, and country offices, and other UN entities, as well as public media. Key tools, there are websites, There are Universal Human Rights Index. There is also UN Web TV. UNHCR staff can get more information on internal resources, templates, and tools through the Human Rights Liaison Unit in the Division of International Protection. Immediate urgent advocacy, individual complaint procedures in cases where there are immediate protection needs. For example, individuals who are at risk of imminent refoulement, the use of individual complaint procedures may be considered. The individual complaint procedures are mechanisms for bringing cases of alleged human rights violations, such as, to the attention of the UN with a view to prevent such violations and seek redress in case they have already occurred. Where an individual complaint has been brought, UN human rights bodies may issue immediate interventions, requesting that the state adopt professional measures to prevent repairable harm pending a final decision on the complaint. Immediate interventions within the UN system are generally requested through 1. Individual complaints to the treaty bodies, also called petitions and all. 2. Individual communications to the special procedures of the Human Rights Council. The Human Rights Council also has a complaint procedure which forms part of the UN Human Rights Complaint Procedures architecture. However, the procedure is intended to address gross and systematic human rights abuses. It is not typically suitable for immediate interventions, and its outcome remains confidential, which is an important limitation. Individual complaint to the treaty bodies. The individual complaint procedures of the UN treaty bodies can be used to seek interventions to prevent irreparable harm to asylum seekers, refugees, and other under UNHCR's mandate, including but not limited to instances of refoulement. The ultimate decisions of the treaty bodies on cases may also contribute to improvement in the legislative or procedural frameworks of a state. In general, complaints can be submitted by an individual or who has suffered the alleged human rights violations on that person's behalf by third parties, including, for example, a non-government organization or a UN entity such as UNHCR. For the complaint to be admissible, it must relate to a human right under a treaty which the state has ratified, and the state must have accepted the competence of the treaty body to defend individual cases, either through accepting a particular article on the treaty or ratifying the relevant optional protocol. Additionally, the complaint must not be currently under examination by another international or regional adjudicative complaint procedure, and proceedings may only be initiated after domestic remedies have been exhausted. When such conditions are met, the respective treaty body has the authority to receive, consider, and issue a decision on an individual case. Treaty body decisions are final. For example, they cannot be appealed against and represent an authoritative interpretation of the treaty concerned. They contain recommendations to the state party, but they are not legally binding upon it. Nonetheless, all committees have developed procedures to monitor whether state parties have implemented their recommendations, so-called follow-up procedures, since they consider that parties have also accepted to respect the committee's findings. If a committee finds a violation in a particular case, recommended remedies may include, inter alia, the payment of compensation, the repeal or amendment of registration, the release of a detained person, or granting of asylum. Interim measures. While a complaint is being considered, interim measures may offer immediate protection before the responsible treaty body issues a decision on the admissibility or the merits of the case and without prejudice to the treaty body's final decision. Interim measures are particularly relevant for asylum seekers as they can be invoked, for example, to prevent an imminent deportation, facing a risk of torture, any individual pending before the treaty bodies while the case is pending before the treaty bodies. The special procedures also have dedicated online platforms to facilitate the submission of information accessible at spsubmION.ohchr.org. Some information also can be got on webtv.un.org. Country visits of the special procedures. Experts typically meet with the government officials, judiciary members, parliamentarians, members of the national human rights institutions, NGOs, civil society organizations, victims of human rights violators, UN agencies, and the press. Special procedures usually issue a press release at the end of their visits, indicating their preliminary findings, their final conclusions and recommendations to the state are ultimately published in mission reports to the Human Rights Council. UNHCR and the stakeholders contribute confidential briefing materials to the experts in advance of the visit to share information on the human rights situation of displaced and stateless people, suggest places for experts to visit and interlocutors to meet, and propose recommendations that could be made to the state. UNHCR and other UN agencies may also meet privately with the experts during the visit or in the context of a broader UN country team meeting. Human Rights Council session and special sessions. Human Rights Council sessions held 3 times per year, or special sessions held on an ad hoc basis to address emerging or outgoing human rights crises in a particular state. Planned activities should include defined timelines, set out objectives and action points, include a means of tracking progress. Special procedures follow up on their activities undertaken by the area, issuing follow-up communications, reports, follow-up country visits, expert meetings, and consultations. There are 5 points to take, 5 takeaway points that I would like to mention right now. There is 1, the strategy and well-planned use of UN human rights mechanism can be a highly effective tool for enhancing the protection of displaced and stateless people. There are a range of UN human rights mechanisms which, with the various strengths and limitations, with which operations may consider engaging in their protection planning and protection activities. 3. UN human rights mechanisms can help enhance protection in the immediate, mid, and long term. 4. Coordination with the key internal and external partners can enhance the effectiveness of engagement. And 5. There are a variety of ways on which stakeholders can follow up on the outcomes, recommendations from UN human rights mechanisms to improve the protection of displaced and stateless persons or stateless people. This puts an end to the UN human rights mechanisms, which is part of the training I am reviewing, that is engaging with UN human rights system on displacement and statelessness. Thank you very much for watching. and keep watching my YouTube channel. Subscribe, like, and share it with others. Thank you.